Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam. Today we'll be taking a look at Velocity 2X. This is the sequel to the original Velocity made by the fellows over at Future Labs, which is the only series they've ever worked on. And Velocity was perhaps the one and only success story to ever come out of the PS Minis. Those were Sony's original attempt at getting indie games on their consoles. And Velocity was actually wildly popular there. It even got a full-on remake for PS3 and Vita called Velocity Ultra, which is just a general upgrade to the entire game, adding a few more levels and so forth. So this is the first full-on sequel that they've done to the series, and let's just jump in. So there are about, as far as I can see, 50 levels in total. Each of them is hidden behind an XP requirement. You gain XP by completing levels. And as far as I can tell, this is only there to allow you to skip a few levels, but if you play them perfectly in sequence, you'll never really be locked behind this gate. I haven't been locked. I actually can skip about 7 levels from where I am right now. So let's head into... this is the level I picked especially to showcase the game. So Velocity is a top-down space shooter for the most part. We'll get into the other part, but later. You scroll upwards much like an Ikaruga is the only really best example I can pull out here. It's the one most of you will have played. So you have this basic little beam here your ship can shoot, and you also have these bombs. And then there's this little teleport that's always been Velocity's main hook. You can use it for short-range dashes, or you can jump to the entire other side of the screen. You can also place these little transponders here to allow you to jump back to them later on in the level. These are mainly used for opening the gate sections on. The game does actually scroll fairly slowly, but you can speed it up with hitting the one trigger. You can also open up this map where you place transponders, and you can actually pick them up because it makes them much easier to actually then choose which one you go back to. I'm just going to retrieve these two because otherwise I'm going to just make a mess of this entire playthrough right now. So these little blue things here are survivors. These are one of the two main currencies you pick up that will influence your score at the end of the level. The game really does go out of its way to encourage you to pick these up, but as far as I can tell, outside of your score there really is no point. So you'll see this little switch here is locked behind a 4. That means you actually need to hit every other gate in the sequence before it to unlock it. Ah, excuse me, I'm awful at this. There we go. So yeah, you need to hit those in sequence to open up the gates. So these are about the only enemies you'll ever see in the game. There are those large cannon fodder enemies, and these turrets just shoot at you automatically. They're fairly easy to take down, and I haven't really, outside of a boss fight which has been recycled twice now, there really isn't any much more enemy variety in this game at all. That's it. And that's mainly my chief criticism of it right now, is that it feels great. Like the way the ship moves, the way the combat actually just feels. Enemies explode, there's so much particle effects and just such a great noise coming out from everything that it feels great. This game feels phenomenal even, but there's just little point to being good at it or actually just continuing on with it. There's really no... It does a very poor job of motivating you. It really does go out of its way to make you feel like I need to grab every last one of these survivors, but there's no point to it. Outside of that, I also really... the weapon variety is a big issue in this game. I think because right now you'll see that bar down in the left corner. That little energy bar there is for when you pick up other weapons. You expend them very quickly, and you can pick up energy cubes to refill their charge. But I've been playing this for about, I think, 3 hours now, and I have only ever picked up one weapon. For about a few seconds, it quickly dissipated, and I never have picked one up again. This could be a bug right now. This game just came out, but for now, I'm like, it's really one of my big gripes about the game is that there's really little variety in the combat, which is a damn shame because the combat, it just feels so good. So let's get into the other part of the game. Yeah, you can dock your ship and the game suddenly becomes a side-scroller, in which you control the ship's pilot and just dash through. So yeah, you move from left to right, you can jump, you can also fairly quickly exit the level, and you can shoot. You can't move fast and shoot, which is a bit awkward. It takes some getting used to, especially in parts like this where very much you want to go. The game really does a great job of making you want to move fast. You also gain this larger cannon later on, which allows you to move and shoot fairly a lot better than you actually can. Those are the bane of my existence in this game. Little mines they toss on the edges of walls. You can teleport you utilize in the ship can also be utilized here, and it translates perfectly well. It's got a lot shorter range, but considering how fast your character can actually move, it works really well in conjunction with the other mechanics. Like I said, this game just does a great job of making you want to move fast. One issue I do have with the control scheme on foot is that it feels like there aren't enough. They mapped it the wrong way, and you also can't rebind the keys. The shooting, and the dashes and everything are mapped all to the right-hand side of the controller. You feel like you need about 3 thumbs to accurately do everything at the speed I wish you to do it. So all these little niggles aside, I think this game actually feels great. One thing I especially love is the art style. This game looks spectacular. I really do love the art style. I have some issues with that. The backgrounds, I have only seen 2 color palettes right now. I'm about halfway through the game, so it can get a bit samey after a while, but I mean, it looks gorgeous, especially the side-scrolling parts. I especially do like the main character's character design. She actually looks very nice. I really dig her. So the story is a bit mediocre, if I'm honest. It's written well enough, but it's very, very cheesy, and it really feels like there's no real depth to the characters. One thing I will give it to is that it sticks to its tone. It doesn't try to be overly serious or overly silly. It really knows what the tone it's going for, and it sticks to that fairly well. But really, that's not why you'll be coming here. But again, I said I really do like the character design at work here. So yeah, you'll often be opening up those gates with some switches in side-scrolling levels, and then the others scattered about the shooter stages. It's, again, really strange that there's no upgrade system, because the game feels like it's pining for it. It feels like it was a part of the original design doc, but it was stripped out later on because it would fit so perfectly here. The main thing I think that's going to keep people playing this game is the leaderboards. If that's your thing, if you like score attack games, like getting your name up on a leaderboard, or just speedrunning games, I think this game's actually going to be quite perfect for you. It really does feel like it's catering to that crowd instead of my type of crowd who just wants upgrades. So I'm of 2 minds, but I say I really actually do quite like this game. I just think it feels so good. Once you really start to get the hang of the platforming and the ship combat, and just everything starts blending together, and you just move fast through everything, it actually feels quite spectacular. It's really, really great. It's also got some really nice production value. One thing I'm not quite a big fan of is the music. It feels incredibly generic for a sci-fi game. There's one track, from all of it, there's one track that stood out to me thus far, but that's about it. It really does feel, it sounds exactly like you'd expect it to sound in a game of this type. That said, it's fine, it's not awful. You feel like you've heard it a million times before. There's even a few tracks I actually recognize from the original Velocity, because I played actually quite a lot of that game. So let's head up here. So I do actually like this little transponder system. It gives a point to the backtracking, which would otherwise just become a chore later on. And you can also actually throw it in the character. You can actually throw on foot. Everything you can do the ship translates almost to the on foot stuff. It translates back to the ship. And I really actually do like that. I like that the gameplay mechanics are consistent throughout every phase of the game. Did I hit? Yeah, I hit everything. So let's head up here. So yeah, folks, that's Velocity 2X. It's equal parts great and a bit not really. It's not really gripping. There's not really anything that's giving this game any staying power for me right now. I think it really does feel great. So you know what? Let's actually head on to a later level. Let's see what this can throw out. So I'm gonna hop into this stage blind. Those two stages I just showed you I had played before. So yeah, let's actually see if there's anything later on. So the story is regulated to these little text boxes here. There's no voice acting, but no, the writing is fine. As I said, it's very cheesy, but it's cheesy with a light heart. It's cheesy with good intent. Oh, so we actually have another color path here. Whee! You see, you pick up weapon recharges, but you don't ever actually pick up weapons. It's very, very strange. And again, as you can see, the game, like, oh, it's such a gorgeous game. I really am a massive fan of how this game looks. So it looks like this is actually a far more open-ended level than what I've been playing up until now. Hello? Huh. That's new? Looks like this. So, I don't know what's going on here. Let's, I will make it! I will not stop! There we go. So, I don't actually know what's going on here. I may have to go back to previous levels. I see. I see. You need to throw the transponder to get past her. Or it, whatever that is. It's just tossed it there. Excuse me, that's my controller if you're hearing it in the background. I didn't put the, whatchamacallit. I didn't put the controller sounds off. So yeah, it seems actually like there is something to it a bit more later on. So yeah, folks, that's Velocity. Oh joy! Yeah, that's happened quite a few times now. So, not the most stable of games. But yeah, that's Velocity 2X. I quite like it. I don't know if I'd have paid full price for it, but as a PS Plus freebie, it's actually not a bad one. So yeah, check it out. It's cross-save, cross-buy, everything like that. So if you get it on PS4, you can play it on Vita and PS3, and your saves will dance across everything there. So, my name has been Sam. Thank you for watching the video. Check out the homepage for more content, and if you would like to support content on the front page, do subscribe to our Patreon in the link below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice one.